It's dark now, so let me go turn off this other light, see how it looks real quick. Oh, looks the same to me, but from my perspective, it's a lot darker. Justin, first let's start with just kind of how was your week? We didn't get a reaction show in, so if there's any big things you wanted to say on our Sunday show you didn't get to say, let's kind of use that for now.
Um, I'm trying to think of like something that really surprised me. I mean, obviously the Ohio State game was kind of in the first half, it was close.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then it kind of pulled away, so I won't talk about that. I think what a lot of people, and this is just me, and you might be able to compare the two. I think Florida and Penn State are very, very similar. They're
Mm-hmm.
two extremely talented teams. They both lost their coaches. They can really beat whoever. Um, but other than that, there's really not anything to talk about from last week. I think,
Oklahoma had a pretty big win on the road.
yeah,
I don't think a lot of
Oklahoma
people
had a
expected
big
that.
win. I think once again, personally, I feel like the SEC office called in to the refs for the Georgia game. I think that's like 3 games or 4 games within the last 5 where Georgia seems like they got bailed out by the refs. Other than that, man, I think that's really it. Obviously, we had some more people get fired again. Dabo Sweeney came out and blamed the refs for one of his games. But other than that, man, I mean, last week was kind of a good football week, but it wasn't anything to like write home about. I know me and you kind of had things going on, so it just, that's the way the cookie crumbles. We couldn't do a reaction show on it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think obviously the committee came out with their rankings. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'll let you get into what you think about them, and then we can talk about what I think about them, I guess.
Before we do that, I have heard a lot of reports. Not a lot of reports. I've heard a lot of things going around the rumor mill that Arkansas is strongly going after Memphis's head coach right now. So
Now,
that might be
I
something to keep an eye on going forward.
I heard
Um,
another name, Mason. I don't mean to cut you off, and I don't think this is a bad hire either. Uh, Pat Fitzgerald. I think
yeah,
that would
I
be
heard
a
a lot about
great hire.
Pat Fitzgerald too. I heard the
Yeah,
Memphis stuff today, like on three. I think report like is kind of
yeah,
on top of that. I think it's very interesting going forward. It kind of looks like Arkansas is going the head coach. They don't want to. They don't want a coordinator, but maybe they're having to reach into the G5 or like a lower Big Ten school. But yeah, let's kind of get into this playoff rankings. I'll just read them off first. Number one in the country, you got Ohio State. It's kind of to be expected. Obviously, defending national champions. They haven't particularly played a close game since week one, and even week one, they controlled that game. Number two, kind of America's darling.
yeah.
Everyone's really high on this team. I think they have probably the best quarterback in the country right now, Fernando Mendoza. You got Indiana at 9-0. Number three, you got Texas A&M undefeated from the SEC. Hate to say that. Number four, you got Alabama 7-1. You got Georgia. We got a lot of one-loss teams here. You got Georgia at 7-1, and then you got Ole Miss at 8-1. Number seven and number eight, you got two Big 12 teams, which I did not expect coming into this. I did not expect two Big 12 teams. It's actually very surprising. You got BYU at number 7-0, and at number eight, you got Texas Tech at 8-1. Number nine, you got the third and final Big Ten team in Oregon at 7-1. At number 10, you got Notre Dame, and then you got Virginia in that ACC slot, but they're ranked at 14. And then you have Memphis in that G5 slot. You have Texas at 11, Oklahoma at 12, Utah at 13. Louisville's creeping on 15. So the ACC slot right now is a flip between Virginia and Louisville. Honestly, I will say I know that there's going to be a lot said about how many ever one, two, three, four, or yeah, one, two, three, four. You got six SEC teams in the top 12. I don't necessarily have a problem with most of it. I don't have a problem with Georgia. I don't have a problem with Bama or Ole Miss. I do have a problem with Oklahoma. I think Texas is a team that you look at. They've beat pretty good teams. They played Ohio State close. They just have that bad loss against Florida. I, I don't necessarily disagree with putting them where they are. I think my biggest like problem with it right now is I don't think Notre Dame deserves to be 10. I understand Notre Dame beat Arkansas and they beat USC, but who is Notre Dame really beat? And they lost 2 games, and they lost a game to Miami, who is kind of falling off. And I understand that was week 1, and as the season goes on, you get better. But who is Notre Dame beat? They don't play a conference championship game, so they're not going to get punished if they lose that. This
Yeah,
is setting up for Miami to be in, and to me, they don't deserve it. I don't think at all.
I
But that's my biggest reaction to it.
I think I agree with you. I mean, it's the first week. My biggest reaction, how do I want to say this? Where I feel like they took no account for struggling against bad teams. If you want me to be completely frank with you, um, if you're gonna schedule hard teams, great. But then the games that you play that aren't hard teams, if you are a good team, like a top 10 team, you shouldn't struggle against a 3-5 Arkansas or struggle against a 2 and whatever Kentucky. The biggest takeaway I got from it, I didn't mind really anything in the top 5. I personally think Georgia's overrated just because of me, but you can't hold that against what I think just because like they've won games that they're supposed to. They lost to Alabama, so they're only behind Alabama. The one team that I had a problem with being high was Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's because I think I have a problem with it because they really haven't played anybody either. They beat an Oklahoma team. Okay, do we think Oklahoma is that good?
I think they're
I
a top
mean,
20 team. I just don't think they're the 12 or the 13.
yeah, I got you. Um, so are they that good with a? Because did John Mateer get hurt in that game, or was that his first game back? No, the
That
Texas
was
game was the.
his second. That was his second or third game back.
Okay. Um, and then other than that, other than Oklahoma, they haven't beat anybody. They beat.
It was at Oklahoma. I mean,
It was, and
and
I'm not
I
taking.
think what's kind of hurting them is that Tulane game because Tulane's kind of
Yes.
fallen off a little bit. Tulane was a pretty good win, really. I think
Yeah.
that was a pretty good win. I
And
mean,
I
it's
and I
obviously
mean,
not like what you're gonna pin your whole resume on, but I think
yes.
in the grand scheme, I think Tulane's a pretty good win.
Yeah. I and like I said, I'm literally poking through hairs at that point. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna sit here and act like, oh my gosh, that's stupid. But I think I think it's one of those things. It's a note to take into account because the thing is if you go look at Oregon's remaining schedule, they have to play Iowa this week, which Iowa is a tough place to play. It
Mm-hmm.
is. And it's going to be raining. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a miserable game. Iowa is a good football team. They are. They have a top 10 defense in their offense. They have one of the better run games in offense or in college football. Sorry, they're a top 20 team. So Oregon has to play Iowa at Iowa. Then, yeah, they have Minnesota. And then they have USC and Washington. If they lose one of those games, they're probably out. So it's like, okay, well, they kind of got screwed with the ninth rating. Other than that, I mean, I personally would have them. They have the best loss out of the one loss teams. So are we
Oh,
going off
Iowa.
of yes? No. Out of the one loss teams, they have the best loss in Oregon. Oregon has the
Oh,
best
Oregon
loss.
has the best loss. I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about Iowa still. Sorry.
No, sorry. So Oregon has the best loss out of the one loss teams. So it's like, are we taking best loss into account or are we taking best win? Obviously, it's probably best win just because, you have Alabama, then Georgia. I just kind of thought that it was one of those things to where, how do I want to say this? Like it seemed like they didn't care. Like even if you beat a bad opponent by not very much, that doesn't really matter as long as you're winning your games. Which if that's how they're going to devote it, then that's completely fine. But
I think the biggest thing on Iowa, I mean, I'm talking about Iowa specifically because Iowa only has one loss, right?
no, they have two.
Who else did they lose to?
They lost to Cal, I think, beginning of the season.
I guess I'm just not seeing that.
Yeah, they
I'm
have
like
two
looking at their
losses.
schedule right now. I'm they lost to Iowa State. That's what it was. Okay,
Iowa State, beginning of the season, rivalry game. Like,
right. They
uh,
just haven't beat anyone. I mean, like
no, and
Minnesota's a decent win. I mean, they did beat the brakes off of them, and they played Indiana close. That's just weird because I've been seeing a lot of Iowa, and like this isn't even me talking about Iowa as a football
yeah,
team, but I've been seeing a lot about Iowa the last couple days, a bunch about Iowa, and it kind of took me off guard because their quarterback's terrible. I mean, just
yeah, they
flat
cannot
out
throw. They can't throw the
flat
ball.
out terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's awful. And I was just like, Iowa's getting all this talk, and like, if they beat Oregon and there's like some falling apart in the back end of that rankings, um,
yeah,
yeah, Iowa could sneak in. But and one more thing, I will say, I I'm going to preface this because this sounds terrible. I like the G5 getting an opportunity. I guess I know it's a charity, Red Cross handout, but I like it. It is what it is. They're never gonna. I don't know if they'll ever win a game. If they do win a game, it will be a monumental moment, right? Like
yeah,
we're all in agreement on that. Memphis is not better than Texas. Like in a situation in my brain where Memphis gets in over Texas, that doesn't make sense. Memphis isn't better than Utah. Memphis isn't better than Virginia. Memphis is not better than Vanderbilt. I would not put Memphis above anyone outside of maybe Tennessee in the top 25. Like
yeah,
maybe. And I do think Tennessee would still beat them. Like, why are we giving out? If it's a playoff to figure out who is the best team in college football,
yeah,
why are we giving a slot to an undeserving G5 just so people on Twitter and Joe Klatt can like be happy? Like, I genuinely don't get it. I've heard people talk about this. The G5 could have their own playoff, and I know that diminishes in everyone's brain, that diminishes what the G5 product is. I don't watch G5 anyway, really. I mean, Tuesday night I might watch a MAC game. Um, but like really I don't watch G5. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of G5. I'll watch a good G5 game if it's just a really historic, Boise's ranked high and UNLV's ranked high. I'll watch that game, but I don't watch G5. I don't know that anyone really does.
yeah. I don't.
What are we comparing it to? Is it would you say that G5 is Power 4? I mean, would you say it's the same?
No, and I think
Do you
I
think any G5 conference is equal to the Big 12 or the ACC?
no. I think that the how do I want to say this? I think them doing this is a good idea, but I think it's done the wrong way. I think some years you should have it, some years you shouldn't. If a team goes crazy and does something wild, okay, whatever. Um,
Well, like Boise
because
was a good example. Boise's a good example
yeah,
last year. Boise plays Oregon really close on
yep,
the road. They have a
yep,
Heisman candidate running back. They ran through their schedule. Okay, that's perfect. Memphis lost to UAB. That's two completely different circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Why are
yeah,
we just giving Memphis a spot?
yeah,
You're not giving
and
Virginia a spot if Virginia loses in a
yeah,
conference championship game, they're not getting a spot.
no,
Is
and that's
Virginia
what
is Virginia less deserving?
no, and that's where I kind of am at with like sometimes you should do it, sometimes you shouldn't. There's going to be years where you have a Boise State where you should do it, or have a Boise State like when they won the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. Like there's an opportunity for teams to do it, but I think it's so few and far in between that it shouldn't be like, okay, you're guaranteed in. Because yes, Memphis hasn't really beaten anybody. I mean, what they beat USF, but like USF, that win doesn't really look as good as it did. Um, so
It's good for a G5 win. I'll give them that.
yeah,
Florida
that's what I'm
can't do it.
saying. Yeah, so and you could do transitive property, and what I want to get with people is we are getting to the point this season where you can take a team like I used this a few weeks ago, and it's not just like this is black and white guaranteed. It's just a good, how do I want to say, it's a good point to look at. And I know every game's different, and I'm not saying that you should do transitive property. Transitive property would be me getting on here saying, oh, well, Memphis beat USF, USF beat Florida, and Florida beat Texas. So therefore, technically, Memphis would beat Texas. That's transitive property. Me getting on here and saying, hey, just want to point this out. Washington played Washington State at Washington State in a rivalry game, Apple Cup, and blew the doors off of them. And then, like 2 weeks later, Washington State went to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss struggled to beat them. That might be something we need to look into. That's not transitive property. That's just me saying, hey, I watched both of these games. They had way different outcomes. One team is extremely high ranked, the other team isn't ranked. Maybe there's not much of a gap there. Let's see how open college football is. That's not transitive property. So
See,
if
I would
anybody's,
disagree. I feel like that is.
yeah, but at that point, it's like, okay, well, then games don't matter at all because you're not taking any substance in games that are played unless you want to take substance in them.
But Ole Miss, okay, this is what I would say that Ole Miss beat Oklahoma.
Yep.
Oklahoma beat the doors off of Michigan.
Hmm.
Michigan beat the doors off Washington. I mean, that's transitive property too. But that's like if you just compare, like I feel like whenever you have those conversations, you find nitpicky things. Everyone does. Everyone finds nitpicky things to prove their argument. And I don't think Washington's a bad football team. But I also don't think Washington is. They're young. I don't think they're in a place where they. I don't think they're as good as they're going to be in the future. I think
Yeah,
Washington
and
will be better. I just don't think this year they're that good. I think
and
they're an
the
8 and
only
4 team.
reason, yeah, the only reason I take those two specifically is because they only play like 2 weeks apart. Like Michigan and Oklahoma played super early in the season, and then you're taking super late. Like they literally played, I think like yeah, they played like 2 weeks apart. So that's the only reason I use that, and I'm not using that as Washington would definitely beat them. I'm just saying it might be something to look into because this team is ranked sixth in the country, and then this team is ranked 22nd. Let's just keep our eyes open and just have an open opinion on college football and don't just say, well, even though they struggled, they still won, so they should remain at X spot or whatever. That's the same thing for Ohio State. If Ohio State goes out and struggles against Purdue this week, I mean, maybe they're not number one. Maybe Indiana should bump up. But that's kind of where I'm at on it. I don't feel like the rankings were as bad as they have been, personally.
No, they definitely haven't.
I mean, we've had rankings that were way worse than that. Um, and I think it's good to see certain teams that started off bad in the year be different than certain teams that have started off late in the year because they do change. Now, I don't think Notre Dame should be ranked as high as they are, but they are a different team now than what they were when they played Alabama or when they played Miami. And I think we can both agree on that. Just like Michigan's a different team than when they played Oklahoma, just like Oklahoma's a different team. Teams change throughout the year. That's the whole purpose of the whole season. Um, I kind of like how Notre Dame should be ranked higher than Miami right now. Because guess what? Miami looks like two pack of ass, and Notre Dame somewhat looks decent.
And yeah, and I agree with that. There's definitely I can't get okay, every time I look at the rankings, it pulls up this drop down menu and then it blocks the whole thing. And I'm trying to talk about this. I think the matchups are fun because right now the matchups would be Memphis going on the road to Georgia, and then it would be whoever they have at 11.
I think
Oh,
it's
it would be Virginia. It'd be
yeah,
Virginia going to Ole Miss, and then it would be Notre Dame going to BYU, and then it would be Oregon going to Texas Tech. Like I think those are all great. That would be electric for opening weekend of the playoff.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this huge expanded playoff. I think it's okay. Like I like it.
Yeah.
My biggest thing that I love about it, though, like I love this. This they hit head on the nail. Having college football games at college football campuses will always be a win. I don't care if it's UAPB playing at UCA or UCA playing at Arkansas State. That is always better than if UCA was to play Arkansas State at War Memorial. Like, college football being played on college campuses is always a win. In my opinion, it's always a win. They nailed that. And I think we could get some big time, like places like Texas Tech hosting a playoff game would be electric.
Yeah.
That would be electric.
Yeah.
I agree. BYU would be electric.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that I don't like, once we get to the ranking after all the championships and all that's played, conference championships, is I just hope I don't care. Once you're in. I just hope they pay attention to seeding and don't put all the Big Ten teams on one side and all the SEC teams on the other. Like, I don't want to see Ole Miss play Virginia and then the team that they play is Georgia. It's like, I mean, put them on the other side of the bracket. Because to me, what's the difference in having a team ranked 11th and having a team ranked 8th? They're still having to play in the first round. No, they're still having to play in the first round. I don't want to see a second round where Oregon goes to play Ohio State and then Ole Miss goes to play Georgia. It's like, well, we've already.
I don't want to see Indiana and Oregon play again that early.
Like, exactly.
I think that took away from that Rose Bowl last year.
Yes.
Was like, we'd already seen that game. Now, obviously, it played to Ohio State's favor, so I'm sure you loved that game. But like, as a casual fan, or not a casual fan, as a fan with no dog in that fight, I would have much rather have seen Penn State, or not Penn State, we just saw that game, like Notre Dame or Georgia or Boise or whoever go play in that Rose Bowl instead of Ohio State. Because I agree with you on that 100%. I don't want to see a rematch. I mean, if they rematch in the semis, okay.
If you
in the championship, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you end up making it all the way and you do, like, whatever, but don't set it up to where it's kind of inevitable. Like, that's where I come from. Like, I don't want to see SEC all on one side of the bracket, and I don't want to see Big Ten all on the other side of the bracket, because it's like, we've already seen half these games, and I hate to tell you, but it is harder to beat a team twice, especially in a neutral site, especially with everything going on. But other than that, I mean,
a team with a bye week. I think Oregon had a huge disadvantage last year.
1,000%, and that's the whole thing. If Ohio State remains number one, they're going to have the same disadvantage, because there's going to be a really good team at the 8th spot. And it's like, whatever.
Could you imagine if Texas Tech beats whoever, and then Ohio State has to play a Texas Tech team that's rolling at that point?
Yeah.
And Ohio State's been sitting on their ass for 2 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's where it comes into, like, I think those games like that talent's still involved, but that's where coaching comes in. That's where, are you a better coached team? I have my own opinions on Ohio State.
Tell us what you think about Ryan Day. Do you think Ryan Day could handle that? Just honest,
okay.
It doesn't have to be a big, long,
Yes, I do. Now, last year, Mason, I mean, we talked about it. I've told you, and I'll be upfront on it, and I'll put it on the internet. After the Michigan game, I wasn't like the crazy fans that Ryan Day had to have a full-blown security guard 24 hours a day at his house all the time. That's how crazy it gets up there. I wasn't to that point. I mean, he's still a man, like, whatever. I was ready to ship his ass out. I was done with him. I didn't want him anymore. I wanted us to personally lose the Tennessee game on purpose so we could get his ass out of there. Now, Mason, if you want me to be honest, I think if Ryan Day stays and we don't lose Brian Hartline, however long our coaching staff stays together, I don't. I mean, I think we're about to go on a dynastic run. If you want me to be honest, that's
I
me
think Ryan Day
personally.
is a better Ed Orgeron, if you want me to be on. Like,
And
I don't think
yeah,
he's bad. I
yeah,
think he
no,
benefited from Chip Kelly a lot.
and that's fine. And I definitely agree with you. I think that he has made the right coaching hires. The
Yeah.
only thing that I will like step back on and be like, okay, we got to give him credit. A lot of people crucified him for going out and getting Matt Patricia. Thought it was a bad hire. I kind of thought that it was going to be a good hire. A lot of people crucified him for moving Brian Hartline up and not going to get somebody else. There were things that he's done, and I think that's what makes a good coach into a great coach, because that's what Nick Saban did. That's what Dan Lanning's done with his offensive coordinators. That's what makes a good coach into a great coach, and I truly believe that Ryan Day pays attention to the little things enough to where the big things will fall. That's just like this week. Like, he had somebody come in and talk, and it's somebody in the program that talked to the team specifically about the David versus Goliath story, and how one pebble in your program, one little thing that you don't do right or you don't pay attention to, could throw off a whole game and knock you off. And it's like little things like that that, like, a lot of people, unless you're an Ohio State fan, you probably don't pay attention to. I don't think that I really have to talk too much about Ohio State. They're probably going to beat Purdue pretty handily this year or this week. You know what? I'll just say it, because I told you, Mason. I've told two or three other people. Mason, if you want me to be honest, I think Ohio State has the top 5 players in America. And if it's not the top 5 outright, I think it's pretty close to being like top 5. If you want to put somebody at 7, whatever. Because here's the thing: coming into the season, we had Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs number 1 and number 2, however you wanted to put them. That was
I
kind
agree
of
with that.
Yeah, it was kind of unanimous. Jeremiah Smith's not our best receiver on the team right now. He's not leading the team in receiving yards. He's leading the team in receptions. Carnell Tate is playing better than he is this year. He has 1 pass breakup on a deep ball. That's it. So if you're going to put if you're going to put Carnell Tate, or if you're going to put Jeremiah Smith, 1 and 2 in the country in all of players this year specifically, not overall, this year specifically, Carnell Tate is better than him. Caleb Downs is.
Do you think that could be a situation of, you got a lot of film on Jeremiah Smith now?
Yeah, yes, 1,000%. I truly believe Jeremiah Smith is a way better player. I'm talking about this year coming out. Mel Kiper, which I hate. I don't like mock drafts because I think they're bullcrap, especially now. He has 3 Ohio State Buckeyes going in the top 5, and that's not Julian Sand and Jeremiah Smith. Arvell Reese, if you haven't watched an Ohio State game, I don't care if you rage hate them the whole game. Go turn it on. Don't tell me, oh, they suck, but don't watch the game. Go watch Arvell Reese. He is the biggest specimen I've ever seen in my life.
Well, Ohio State sucks. They are just trolling and hating.
Yes,
no one can watch that team and say they suck. There's no way.
Yes,
they are one of the top 3 teams in the country right now, without a doubt. And they might be the best team in the country by far. They might be. They might roll through this whole season. They really could.
I mean, Arvell Reese is probably, he's 6'4", 245. He has 54 total tackles and 6.5 sacks. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot. It's a middle linebacker. He has the highest rated pressure rate in the country. He's not getting rushed all the time, and he already has 6.5 sacks. Like I said, I say he's the best overall on the defense. He's the best player on our defense. And we still have Caleb Downs. And then Julian Sand, I don't want to hear an argument about Julian Sand. He's the best quarterback in the country.
He's the best quarterback in the Big Ten.
You know what? That's fine. You have your
I think
opinion. I
Fernando
have mine.
Mendoza is playing the best football in the Big Ten at quarterback.
And I'll listen to an argument on that. I think those are the best two quarterbacks in the country. I mean, what Julian Sain is doing completion wise is unheard of. It's 2019 Joe Burrow. Completion rating wise, I'm not saying he's just as good as Joe Burrow. What I said is him.
My only argument against the completion percentage is it's not as much down the field as Fernando Mendoza. Is why I would say that.
Yeah, he has more. He has like the ninth most down the field yards in all of college football. He's like 20. He's like 19 for 21 on deep balls. He leads the country in deep ball percentage. And I know it's not like he's just throwing it down the field, but it's like, I mean, at some point, like,
I don't think he's one of the worst quarterbacks. I don't.
No.
But I think as far as who's playing the best football, I would put Julian Sain in the top 5 for sure. Like I don't know if I'd put him at 5 or nitpicking, but I think Trinidad Chambliss is playing great football.
Yeah, he is.
Fernando Mendoza is playing great football. I think Julian Sain is playing great football.
Yeah, Marcel Reed is playing out of his mind.
Great football. It's just it's whenever you're talking about those very top guys, I'm taking Fernando Mendoza right now as the best quarterback in college football. I think he is the. I think. I said at the beginning of the year, I said I thought he was better than Curtis Rourke, which is who led Indiana last year. My biggest thing against Marcel Reed is he's just turnover prone, and there's times where there was times throughout the year that their offense has kind of fallen off a little bit. Trinidad Chambliss kind of had Trinidad Chambliss has no flaws in his game right now. I mean, their defense is awful. Ole Miss's defense. I mean, I guess they're not awful. They're a bottom 30 defense, though. They're not like they're not a very great defense. And yeah, Julian Sain's been extremely efficient. But it just almost feels like he's protected in a sense. And I don't mean this as a knock. Obviously, this is a kudos to Ohio State. But he has the best team around him for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's a knock in my brain, but it's kind of like the Tua argument. Everyone talking about how great Tua was. Tua was also playing with like 4 NFL wide receivers, an NFL offensive line. Like, it was insane. And I was like, I just don't see it from Tua. I don't see him being the number 1 quarterback in the country. And that's, I mean, that not to say that Julian Sain won't win a natty and won't be next year. You also have to remember he is young.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I think a lot of people about Ohio State don't understand. We're returning our whole offense besides one receiver. And guess what? Last year we just lost to Emeka Egbuka. Probably going to be so receiver's not a question. I hear you, though. I mean, if somebody wants to argue Fernando Mendoza, like, I'm not going to argue that. But Julian Sain is averaging 10 yards a pass, and Fernando Mendoza's averaging 9.5. So they did, like, it's very apples to apples. Like, if you want to say 1A, 1B, like, I'm not going to argue. I'm biased, so obviously I see Julian Sain and what he's done over the last 3 weeks and what they've opened the offense up to. It just looks different. I mean, it does, and I know Indiana. I like Fernando Mendoza. I'm not like crapping on the dude. I'm just saying I personally believe, and if somebody wants to argue with me, that's fine. I know Ohio State has 5 of the top 10 best players in the country.
And I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
but
5 of the top 10 is insane.
Yeah, and I personally believe that it's 5 of 5, 1 through 5. I have another hot take, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't think we'll know until the end of the year. But that's just, is this 2020? What is this, 5? Yeah. Is this 2025 Ohio State team better than the 2019 LSU team?
Before we get into that, let's start talking about these games because we do have a couple of really big games to talk about.
No, there's a bunch.
You have the SEC Cakewalk Week for some teams.
Must be nice.
But across the country, You do have a couple of good games. I say SEC Cakewalk Week. This is really just the Ole Miss Cakewalk Week now that I'm actually looking at
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it
Um,
is.
let's talk about 11 a.m. on ABC. BYU undefeated, number
Big
8 or
game.
number 7 in the country, number 8 in the country, depending on what you're looking at. Travels on the road to Lubbock, Texas, to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Yep.
Right now, that line's sitting at 10.5 Texas Tech's way. I do think this is a game that Texas Tech wins.
Yeah.
I think BYU's benefited a lot from a bad schedule. They do have some big
Yep.
wins over Utah, but that's a same team that Texas A&M thrashed early in the year. I think Texas A&M took a step back, maybe looked at their season, maybe looked at that loss they had, and they were like, no
Hmm.
excuse for that. We should have beat this team by 30. I think they kill BYU personally. Where's your head going on this one?
I kind of hate you went that way. I thought you were going to ride BYU because you have liked BYU.
I have liked
Through,
BYU.
I think it's going to be bad. Really, I think it's going to get real bad, real fast too. I mean, Texas A&M is a lot like a Big Ten SEC team in the Big 12, and they have the talent. They control the line of scrimmage. They have a linebacker with 7.5 forced fumbles or 7 forced fumbles, something crazy. Their defensive ends rank 2 and 3 in pressure rate in college football.
They
Like
got one
it,
that's like a leader in sacks. Like he's
yeah,
crazy.
like they're playing out of their mind. That's one Big 12 team I could see making noise in the college football playoffs. I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be bludgeoning. I think it could get real sexual real fast, if you want me to be honest.
Actually, Aaron texted me after he watched the episode, and he said that whenever you said that, he stopped what he was doing and laughed out loud.
Oh,
He
this
he
episode
went
that
there.
what the
The sexual real fast.
oh yeah. It could, dude. I mean, it's not going to be good. And I don't.
That's a good saying. That's a real good one liner. I like that.
It's stolen. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna own that. That's a menace to sports steal. If you like Midwest football or just like football in general,
If you like the
you can
I
go.
formation and snow,
Yeah,
you'll love that
yeah.
saying.
No, Zach, the host on that show. He's like way deeper into college football than me and Mason are, just because he used to coach and he does a lot more stuff like analytically and like breaking film down and stuff. So if you're a college football freak, me and Mason watch about 6 podcasts a day. So after you watch us, you can go watch them.
Let's get into our next big one right here. This is a game that I could see maybe slipping up one of those undefeated top teams. Texas A&M goes on the road to Missouri. They go to
Yep.
Columbia. Right now, that line is sitting at 6.5 A&M's way. The reason why I say that this game could give A&M trouble is whenever Missouri is playing their best version of themselves, they run the ball really well. They get after the quarterback, and Bo Prabula doesn't turn the ball over. Now, the games that we've seen them
Yeah.
lose, they've had trouble stopping the run. They've had trouble getting after the quarterback, and Bo Prabula has been kind of off. If this is a game that Missouri can figure all those things out, they can let their physical running backs kind of run over a team that we've seen get kind of run over. This could
Yep.
be a game that Missouri maybe wins, and Missouri's been really close to beating these top teams. They faltered against Alabama where they had a lot of chances. They lost to Missouri. Their quarterback got hurt. I think Bo Prabula's still hurt, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's hurt.
So, I mean, I don't like that for Missouri's case, but if their quarterback can just not turn the ball over, keep the game, slow, kind of ugly, kind of what I think should be a Big Ten team, but they should play a Big Ten style, like an Iowa style. They can
For
beat
sure.
this Texas A&M team. With all that said, I'm taking Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M does win this game, but I think it's maybe ugly. I think it's a weird, ugly game. What do you kind of think about this one?
I could see. Man, it sucks because coming into us like creating this show, me and you kind of thought we would be on total different ends week in and week out, but I'm kind of the same exact way, honestly. I mean, I view it the exact same. I feel like I think Texas A&M is going to win the game, but I could see them winning the game by like 3 points. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to what people think it's going to be like. And there's a few games in the SEC that I kind of look and like, I don't know, man, that could be a tough one. Um, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I think if Iowa wants to win the game, they have to slow it down, run the ball.
Missouri.
Missouri, sorry.
Basically
Um,
Iowa. Hey,
yeah,
I'm not mad at it. Basically Iowa.
that's how they need to play. Missouri needs to slow down the game, run the ball, keep their defense off the field as much as they can. Because
Because you're
I'm
going to be
just gonna
chasing Marcel Reed for 4 quarters, and it's going to
exactly.
suck.
Because I'm just gonna come out and say Notre Dame's defense is not that good. Or
Mm-mm.
not Notre Dame, sorry, Texas A&M's defense is not that good. So it's like keep the thing on the field that they struggle with. And then, you hopefully things will fall your way and you'll win. Um, the next game that I think could be an upset too, Mason, is number 5 Georgia goes
Mm-hmm.
on the road to unranked but kind of a weird team like in Arkansas, but it's Mississippi State. I think this could be a real
Hate
funky
Mississippi
game for
State.
Georgia.
I hope Georgia beats them by 50.
I know
And I hope
you
Mississippi
do.
State gets 20 penalties, like we did last week, by the way.
I know you want that, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be close. And if you want me to be honest, how many times can Georgia play a close game versus a shitty opponent and just say, "Oh well, it's just part of it"? Like
uh, I
it's
think one
happened
more. I
every
think they can
week.
do it again.
They might be able to, but I'm tired of it. Like they almost lost to Auburn. They almost lost to Kentucky. Well, not Kentucky, but it was close there for a while. Um, they almost lost to Florida. And then there wasn't there another one that they almost kind of choked up. I mean, I guess Tennessee, say Tennessee, but like,
They definitely
come
should have
on.
lost that Tennessee game, but Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I think this could be a game. Mississippi State is coming off of a big win in their eyes to Arkansas, their first conference win in like 2 years. It got them hope. This
It
is a
just took
scary.
20 penalties. It just took
Yeah,
20.
this is a bit. I think this could be a lot like the Missouri and Texas A&M game. I could see this being a struggle for Georgia.
Well, I'll tell you the one that I'm really looking out for, the one that really scares me as someone that has been kind of touting this team as the best team in the country for a little bit now. LSU goes on the road to Bryant Denny Stadium. Now, I'm not saying that I think LSU is going to win this game. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is what have we been hearing for like a month? Brian Kelly's the problem. Brian Kelly's the problem. Brian
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's the problem. Blah blah blah. I mean, I've heard that over and over and over again. In fact, I've said it. And another little fun fact: I said at the beginning of the year, at the very beginning of the year, in like May or June, I said Brian Kelly would be fired by Halloween. I also said LSU wasn't making the playoff. I was crucified for it. I had 500 Cajuns on my ass for 2 days,
Yep.
300 comments on a TikTok. But what I will say is, I was right. Y'all
Yep.
were wrong. Brian Kelly
Yep.
is the problem. Brian Kelly was the
Yep.
problem. That's an uber
Yep.
talented team in LSU. That's going to be a motivated team. It's going to be a team that rallies around their guy, and it's going to be a team that plays with some like real motivation this week. They hate Alabama. They think it's a rivalry. Alabama does not care about LSU. Alabama owns LSU, but nonetheless, this is a very motivated LSU team, a very talented LSU team. I think we see a great effort, and if a few bounces, kind of like we've seen against Florida State, go the opposite team's way, I could see Alabama losing this game. I am taking Alabama. I didn't want to spend too much time on this game because it should be a thrashing, but it won't be. It won't. I don't think it will be.
I'll die on the hill. I don't care. I'll take LSU.
I just don't think the offense is good enough, but I do think that they're going to be good enough to make it close.
I think LSU is playing. They don't have anything to lose. They really don't. What is Alabama good at on the offensive side of the ball, and what are they bad at on the offensive side of the ball? They're really good at throwing the ball. They absolutely suck at running the ball. One of the worst teams in the country. Them and Ohio State, which, granted, Ohio State's a little bit better. I can say that's because in the fourth quarter, Ohio State seems to figure out how to run the ball every single week, which annoys the shit out of me. But Alabama struggles to run the ball. If I was LSU, I would put the Wheat brothers in at linebacker, put Perkins on one of the edge, bench one of the defensive end, and rush 3, drop 8. And if you want to march the ball down the field with your crappy run game, come on. I'm going to put my offense on the team. I'm going to put my offense on the field and literally tell every single offensive lineman, we're running the ball for the whole first quarter. So you better strap in and get your shit ready because that's all we're doing. We're not passing the ball because our quarterback sucks too. So all we're doing is run the ball down their throat all first quarter long. And if we figure out how to get in the end zone, then we'll start passing the ball. And if we don't figure out how to get on the end zone, you might as well pack your bag and start walking back to Baton Rouge and start feeding on some crawfish etouffee because your ass is benched for the rest of the season. I think LSU personally can beat Alabama, but I think things have to go their way. I've heard they're super bought into this interim coach. He bleeds purple and gold, and I think it's something that means something because they don't have anything to lose. And Alabama's kind of on cruise alert right now. And I think LSU is a perfect team that could mess you up on cruise alert.
And I'm going to do another little victory lap here, another little celebration of me and my genius. Another thing I said was Garrett Nussmeier is not a good quarterback.
Yep.
Whoa. Crucified for that one, too. Hey, guess what? Has anyone been impressed with Garrett Nussmeier all year?
No.
I mean, I really wish I had like 3.
I mean, I got attacked. We got attacked. I was the one lost. I mean, I had to go to therapy after I got attacked so bad over that one. But now look,
and all you did was just attribute to like we were just combining our efforts, and they went after you.
Yeah, and
I got my intelligence assaulted many times, but nonetheless, let's get on to the other big games of the day. I think we got a few more. I'll be interested to see what Washington does at Wisconsin. It should be a game Washington wins, but the one I really want to talk about, the biggest game of the day in the Big Ten, Oregon goes on the road. They go to Kinnick Stadium to play the Iowa Hawkeyes. This has been one with a lot of discourse on Twitter just because Iowa has like some belief they're going to be able to hang with Oregon. It is a tough place to play. This is kind of Iowa's Super Bowl. Iowa's good for a weird game a year. They are good. I'll give it to them. They're good for a weird. They're going to play this team close. I can think of many instances that Iowa has had a inflated Big Ten team come into Kinnick Stadium and leave with like a very deflated ego. But I'm taking Oregon. I think Oregon wins this game. I think it's a chalk week. And I think this is another example of that. I think Oregon handles their business in this one, and Iowa has to unsave a lot of things on Twitter at the end of it.
Yeah, I do like Oregon, but their quarterback has struggled in big games against good teams in the Big Ten. It's a horrible environment to go play in. It's going to be an awful weather game.
Iowa got 10 degrees.
Yeah, Iowa, it's 40 and raining, so miserable. I think Iowa pulls this out. And for me, as a Big Ten fan, just like you as an SEC fan, you want to see the most teams in your conference make it. If Oregon loses this game, it gives us more of an opportunity to get more teams in. Which I think if Iowa wins this game and wins out, I think they deserve to make it. They have a top 10 defense. They're a very good defense. And, yeah, they struggle on the offensive side. But what's the difference in being a good offense and having a struggle in defense versus having a good defense and having a struggle in offense? There's no real difference. I think Iowa is good enough. They're not talented. They have a decent quarterback. They have 2 white receivers that are pretty good receivers. And their defense is the same that it's always is. Guaranteed they're going to have a top 10 defense. I think if this was a neutral site game, I'm taking Oregon. If this was a game at 11 o'clock at Iowa and Iowa had 1 or 2 more losses, I'm taking Oregon. If this was a game played the exact same way and it wasn't raining and going to be nasty, I would probably take Oregon. But guess what? This is that perfect game where it matches up exactly for Iowa. And I think we had a game in the SEC not too long ago that was the exact same way. Like, it was a rainy, nasty game, and it just added up to where it helped out the team that liked to run the ball versus the team that liked to throw the ball. And that might have been, was that a Notre Dame game that I'm thinking of? It might have been a Notre Dame game. Didn't Notre Dame just have a close win versus a halfway decent school? Am I tripping? I
Honestly,
think,
I don't know. I know Notre Dame
I,
plays Navy this week.
yeah, I think, I'm trying to think of, wasn't Boise? No. Oh, USC versus Notre Dame. That's what it was. It
Oh
was a
yeah.
rainy, nasty game in the second half, and Notre Dame just ran the ball however they wanted to. Well, that doesn't add up. That's not a good matchup for USC. So I think that's what this game's going to be like, and I feel like Iowa's going to edge out the win. I think it's going to be like by like 7 to 10 points, but I think they're going to edge out the win. I think Iowa is a good football team. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're going to win the national championship, but I do feel like they're a good football team.
So while we have a little bit of time here, I'm gonna I'm gonna give my take on the Big Ten, kind of what I think could happen here, and this is a scary situation for Justin and the rest of the Ohio State faithful. I think the team most likely to sneak in
Yeah,
is Michigan, and I'm not
yep,
saying that
1,000%.
because I think Michigan's like this great team. I think Michigan's a decent team. I think their schedule sets up to where they have a playoff game the
Yep,
last week of the year in Ann Arbor
yep,
against Ohio State, the game.
yep.
And the reason why I say that is because Oregon plays a schedule that includes Washington and USC and Iowa, obviously.
Hmm.
Michigan doesn't really play anyone until Ohio State.
Yep.
They've already played Michigan State, I'm pretty sure. Um, they don't have much. Let me see if I can find it actually, so I can just be spot on. But I think it sets up to where
Yeah, they don't
I
play
mean,
anybody. They play Purdue, Northwestern, and Maryland. And Maryland
yeah.
was all right at the beginning of the season, but I don't know what they are now.
So I mean, yes, Michigan just played a terrible, ugly game against Purdue, barely squeaked it out. Obviously, they're prone to those type of games. But I think this sets up to where November 29th on Big Noon kickoff, you get a playoff game in Ann Arbor. Now, Justin, what I'm going to ask you is,
Yep.
I know we just talked about Ryan Day. What's your reaction going to be if Michigan finds a way to win that game again and
I mean,
sneaks
I
into the
don't.
playoff?
I mean, I don't know. It's hard because that's the one thing that I listen to a lot of Ohio State podcasts because that's what I enjoy. Um, that's the biggest question of Ohio State fans, especially now. Back in the early, all the way through BCS and pretty much even through the 14 playoff, the way you calculate an Ohio State season is first beat the team up north, which is Michigan. Second, win the Big Ten. Third, win the national championship. You could not get to the national championship or the Big Ten championship if you didn't beat Michigan. Now that's changed a little bit because we've seen it last year and we've seen it previous years where we made it to the college football playoffs, but we lost to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose to Michigan ever, but there's some delusional fans out there that say they would be okay with going 1-11 if their only win was Michigan. That's not me. I was more happy with last year than I was in 2019 when we beat Michigan, but we got beat in the second round to Clemson. I like winning the national championship. Now, am I saying I want to lose to Michigan this year? Hell no. Does it worry me about Ryan Day because he always coaches tight in that game? Yes. Do I feel like he's figured something out over last year and from Chip Kelly? Yeah, I do. I don't think he's going to coach tight. I think he's going to coach a lot like he did against Penn State, which could be very dangerous because I think it's going to set up well, though. I could see Michigan being a top 10 team. I could see Ohio State being number one, and it being a crazy atmosphere, just nuts. And I truly hope Julian Sayin and Ryan Day drop their nuts in the big house and let everybody know, hey, you remember all you people that were doubting us because we didn't play this or we didn't do that? Well, here we are. I hope that happens. But if it doesn't, I at least just hope we win the game.
I just wanted to give you that little nightmare scenario there. Maybe
Oh,
keep you up a little
it's
bit extra
definitely
tonight.
it definitely scares the crap out of me. The closer that game,
And the more that rides on that game, the more it freaks me out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I understand that, but that's all I got for this week. I think your headphones just died too, so it's a perfect segue for us to get on with the rest of our night. We will have a Sunday reaction show.
Yeah.
We will have one. No, hell
Yeah.
or high water, we will have one. I will go to bed on time. We will have a great Sunday reaction show, and we'll give you all of our insight. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. I'm gonna try to post some TikToks. This app's been a little finicky the last couple of weeks, but we will figure that out too. Go like us on the Facebook, go like us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. If we start getting some followers there, I'll start being a little bit more active on them. I kind of just post maybe tidbits of what we talked about, or just media that we made or something like that. But y'all have a good rest of your